Hello everyone. Good morning, student. See, in this lecture, we are going to discuss health and environmental hazards of synthetic dyes and their remediation process. So, in this chapter, we are going to discuss effluent treatment strategy. That is how wastage from dyes industry is treated. What are the operations involved in the treatment of that effluent? This what we have to see in this chapter. Let us see. See, effluent treatment strategy. Large volume of wastewater is produced by industry as an undesirable byproduct. Okay, dyestuff industry generate wastewater that contains synthetic dyestuffs, various wetting agent, pH buffers, hydrocarbons, oil and greases. Okay, so this wastewater contains synthetic dyestuff, various wetting agent, pH buffer, hydrocarbon, oil and greases, all those things. Industrial wastewater treatment describes the processes used for treating wastewater. Thus, effluent treatment plant (ETP) is mandatory. Okay, so we have to minimize these aqueous water pollution. Okay, by effluent treatment plant. Okay, so we have to treat this wastewater before leaving it to the sea or before leaving it to the river. Okay, so this wastewater should be minimized as it contains lot of chemical wastage. This helps to remove the various pollutants after treatment. The treated industrial wastewater can be recycled or released in the environment. Environment means what? Either in sea or in river or in any aquatic means. Thus, ETP are set up as per the guidelines of government to safeguard the environment and also the reduce of use of potable waters. Okay, it will also reduce the use of potable water. See, in the effluent treatment strategy, these are the three main operation are involved. One is primary remediation process, second is secondary remediation process, and third one is tertiary remediation process. Primary remediation process is also called physical process. Secondary remediation process is also called biological process, and tertiary remediation process is also called chemical process. So primary remediation process involves three steps. One is sedimentation, second one is aeration, third one is sorption. While secondary remediation process involves biodegradation, bioabsorption, and tertiary remediation process involves oxidation. Okay, and last point of this tertiary remediation process is what? Coagulation, flocculation and precipitation. Okay, now we will see one by one these, that is sedimentation, aeration, sorption, biodegradation, bioabsorption and oxidation, and coagulation, flocculation, precipitation. So let us proceed with what? Primary remediation process. See, primary remediation process is having three components. One is sedimentation, aeration and sorption. So see, first is sedimentation. It is a physical process. Sedimentation is what? A physical process which uses gravity to remove suspended solid particles from wastewater. So it's a physical process. After removal of gross solid, okay, after removal of gross solid, the effluent is passed into settling tanks fitted with clarifiers. In about 2 hours, the suspended solids settle down due to gravity. Okay, in about 2 hours, suspended solid particles that will get settled down due to gravity. Okay, the upper liquid goes next process, and the collected sludge is removed by mechanical scrapping. So this is what a tank that is used to what? For sedimentation. Okay, just settle down the water that is having what is the wastage that may have metals, that may have non-metals. Okay, so that will get settled down, and then clear liquid will get passed to clarifiers. Okay, and in clarifier also there will be what? Suspended particle will get settled down there due to gravity, and upper liquid goes to what? Next process is what? Aeration, that we will see. So next process is aeration. Okay, under physical processes, the clear effluent from settling tank is laid into holding tanks lined with cement and fitted with floating aerators through which air is passed. See, this is what a floating aerator, okay, through which air is passed in this tank. In 2-6 days it results in healthy flocculent sludge. In 2-6 days it results in what? Healthy flocculent sludge. Okay, because we are passing air there, there is what? Passing of air. So because of that passing of air, unwanted smell, odor, that will get removed out. The activated sludge contain bacteria which results in what? Biological oxidation. However, effluent may be contaminated by bacteria and hence needs to further biological purification. So this effluent still contains what? Bacteria, and hence it's needed what? Biological purification. So this is what? Aeration. See, the next, under these physical processes or primary remediation process, the last technique is what? Sorption. Sorption is a reversible process consisting of both adsorption and desorption. There is what? Adsorption and there is what? Desorption. The effluent from previous operation is passed, okay, that is from aeration, is will get passed through what? Porous container having activated charcoal as a sorbent. Activated charcoal is used as a what? Sorbent here. The soluble salt, color matter, odor causing bacteria, etc. get attached to the particles of activated charcoal. Okay, so this is what? A activated charcoal which is used as a sorbent here. So the soluble salt, color matter, which are the soluble, okay, that are not well settled down due to gravity there, okay, but all these things will get what? Attached to what? Activated charcoal here. That is what? Adsorption will take place. Now the pollutants and charcoal particle, the pollutant and charcoal particle may be held by what? Physical forces. So these pollutants and charcoal particle, they will held by what? Physical forces, that is physical adsorption, or by chemical forces or by bonds, that is chemical adsorption. See, in the continuation of this option, we can say that the efficiency of this method depends upon the surface area of sorbent, that is activated charcoal. Okay, surface area of sorbent, particle size, temperature, pH, and contact time. Okay, so all these factors are important for this sorption phenomenon. Fly ash, coal, rice husk, etc., that is etc., may be used as a cheaper alternative sorbents. Okay, we can use fly ash also, coal also, rice husk also, okay, as a cheaper alternative source instead of what? Charcoal. The sorption is an efficient and economical process to remove soluble impurities. Sorption is what? Efficient and economical process to remove out what? Soluble impurities. The spent charcoal powder can be reactivated by heating it to high temperature in the absence of air. So that charcoal powder, okay, that can also be what? Reactivated by heating it to what? High temperature in absence of air. The particles attached to charcoal are removed. Okay, the particles which are attached to what? Charcoal, they are removed now. That is the pollutants which are attached to charcoal, they are removed, and that is called what? Desorption. So this is what? Sorption. So physical process, or we may say primary remediation process, involves three processes. One is, first is sedimentation, second one is aeration, and third one is sorption. Okay, so these, in all these three processes, physical phenomenon to the pollutant is taking place. Now see secondary remediation processes. Here it is what? Secondary remediation process, and is also called biological process. See, the physical and chemical methods are not fully efficient for removal of all pollutants from wastewater. That is physical and chemical method, they are not completely sufficient to remove out all the pollutants from wastewater. So bioremediation is a branch of biotechnology which is used to solve water pollution problems by using biological materials. The method uses microorganisms like fungi, yeast, bacteria, anti actinomycetes, algae, microbial cells. So this method, that is bioremediation, is uses fungi, yeast, bacteria, algae, microbial cell to remove out pollutants from aquatic life. So it is more economical than physical and chemical remediation. So this bioremediation, that is secondary remediation process, is having advantage that it is more economical than physical and chemical remediation. Also 70% of organic impurities can be converted into what? Biosolids, isn't it? 70% of organic impurities can be converted into biosolids as measured by COD test. However, it is having drawback like it requires larger space for remediation pool. It requires larger space for what? Remediation pool. Also, there is less flexibility in design and operation. There is what? Less flexibility in design and operation. Okay, we cannot have variation in what designing and in operation of this bioremediation. However, pollutants containing metallic residues of lead and cadmium cannot be degraded by microorganisms. Also, there is one disadvantage is what? Metallic residues which are having lead and cadmium that cannot be degraded by microorganism. See, it is also involved one of the step, it's called biodegradation. Biodegradation. So name itself indicates that there will be a what? Degradation of pollutants by biological means. This is a process of effluent treatment in which microorganisms destroy the structure of organic pollutants or dye and split into fragments. They do for their growth. Okay, why microorganisms are doing this? For their growth, self-sustenance and energy requirement, isn't it? In some cases, metabolic pathways followed by the organism for its natural growth may be used to degrade the pollutant. Okay, so in some cases metabolic pathways are also used, okay, for degradation of pollutants. Thus, many bacterial culture can degrade and decolorize dyes. So, many bacterial culture can decolorize dyes and they can degrade also some intermediate or dyes parts. The enzyme produced by microorganism can also degrade organic pollutant. The enzyme which is produced by what? This microorganism can also degrade organic pollutants. It is important to note that chlorinated pesticide and oil peels, okay, oil spills, that is oil slick, okay, when oil spilled in river or in what? Sea, okay, can be digested and cleaned by certain bacteria, okay, that can also be digested or cleaned by certain bacteria. So this is what? Biodegradation. Okay, so this biodegradation is coming under bioremediation, or we can say under secondary remediation process. Now let's move further. We are having another technique under bioremediation or secondary remediation process, that is bioabsorption. So in this method, the pollutants are removed from the aqueous solution by adsorption of pollutants. Okay, there will be what? Adsorption of pollutants, that is their accumulation and concentration on biological material. Okay, so in last physical process, that is in primary chemical primary remediation process, there what we have seen? Sorption. Okay, so there will be what? Adsorption of pollutants on what? Charcoal, on a chemical. Okay, charcoal is nothing but, I'm not going to say it's completely chemical, but adsorption of pollutants on what? A physical matter, that is charcoal. Now here, adsorption of pollutants in on biological material, hence it is called biosorption. The microorganism like algae, yeast, fungi, bacteria can be used to treat textile effluent by biosorption of the dye residues, thus decolorizing water. Okay, so we can use this type of microorganism to treat textile effluent. Okay, so by biosorption, the dye effluents will be minimized and there will be what? Decolorization of water. Other biomaterial like naturally occurring cellulose derivative called chitin, okay, you may say chitin, and its derivative called chitosan can also be used by biosorption of dyes. Okay, so this is what? Biosorption. Okay, and in combined, that is biosorption and biodegradation, we can say it is what? Secondary remediation process. Now let's move further. See, biosorption are having advantages like The method is simple and efficient. Biomass is readily available. The dye residue is almost completely removed from effluent. The simple fermentation technique can produce biomass economically by using cheap growth media. If live biomass is not used, nutrients are not needed and toxic waste is not formed. See this. What is the disadvantage of this process? The disadvantage of this process is what? The process is slow and unsuitable when the concentration of dye residue in the effluent is high. When the concentration of dye residue in the effluent is high, then this method is having what? That means this method is not that much effective. It is having some limitation. Another limitation is what? Clogging of the reactors by biomass. There is what? Clogging of reactors by biomass. So these are what? Some advantage and disadvantage of biosorption, and in combined this is what? Secondary remediation process, that is bioremediation and biosorption. Now let us see tertiary remediation process, or we can say chemical process. So here it involves chemical process like oxidation. Okay, so here there is what? A chlorination. It's coming under oxidation. The disinfection of water is carried out by adding chlorine or hypochlorite as oxidizing agent. So the disinfection of water is carried out by adding what? Chlorine or a hypochlorite as oxidizing agent. So this is what? A chlorine, this is what? A hypochlorite. When it is added to what? Water, there is formation of hypochlorous acid. Okay, and that will what? That will degrade the water molecule in what? Hydrochloric acid and oxygen. That this water molecule is nothing but what? A waste water molecule. Okay, that is effluent. Chlorination is easy, inexpensive and reliable method. Chlorination is easy, inexpensive and it is what? A reliable method. The process of chlorination kills pathogens such as bacteria, viruses and oxidize some organic matters. Okay, this process kill pathogens, okay, bacteria, viruses and oxidize also some organic matter. It dissolves color by bleaching action. This dissolve colors by what? Bleaching action. Now last point of this tertiary remediation process or effluent treatment strategy is what? Coagulation, flocculation and precipitation. Okay, coagulation, flocculation and precipitation. See, coagulation, flocculation and precipitation are three processes followed in sequence for the final purification of wastewater. This process transfers the dissolved pollutants into insoluble solid. Okay, this process transfer dissolved pollutants, that the pollutants which are dissolved in water, they will get converted into what? Insoluble solid, which is removed from liquid phase by sedimentation and filtration. So what is meant by coagulation? See, it is a process of addition of coagulant. It is a process of addition of coagulant to destabilize a stabilized charged particle. Okay, when there is what? A stabilized charged particle in a water bodies, that will get destabilized by adding some coagulant like alum. Okay, so alum is having formula Al2SO4 thrice 14H2O, that is added in what? Aquatic life to destabilize a stabilized charged particle. Now hydrated lime may also be used as a coagulant. Hydrated lime, that also hydrated lime, calcium hydroxide. Okay, that is what? A lime. So that is also used as a coagulant. The collided and suspended particle are agglomerated. That is now there is formation of what? Suspended and collided particle that will get agglomerated to form insoluble metal hydroxide. Okay, to form a insoluble metal hydroxide. So this is what? A coagulation. Now just let's see flocculation and precipitation. See, under flocculation, it is a process in which destabilized particles are further aggregated. Okay, in coagulation, there is what? Destabilization of stabilized particle. Now here, destabilized particle are further aggregated. They are clubbed, aggregated. Okay, aggregate. There will be a formation of aggregates. Flocculators are used in this process. Flocculators are used in this process. Okay, for example, copolymers such as polyacrylamide, that is used as a flocculators. This process results in fluffy mass called floc. Okay, this process results in what? Formation of fluffy mass, that is called floc. That is what, this is what flocculation. Now what is mean by precipitation? During precipitation of the particles of floc are aggregated. Okay, during the precipitation of particles of flocs are aggregated to form precipitate. That floc will aggregate to form a precipitate, and which settles down due to what? Gravity. This is what? Precipitation. So this is what effluent treatment strategy. Okay, so we have seen effluent treatment strategy in detail. First we have seen how they are classified, sorry, what are the steps involved in effluent treatment strategy. Then we have seen the steps like primary remediation process, secondary remediation process, and tertiary remediation process. Okay, so this is what effluent treatment strategy. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best. Thank you.